So Battlefield 6 feels pretty good. I mean, running around with the, I believe it's an AK, it generally feels like a pretty solid gun. Main issue is that you only carry 2 magazines in spare, which I thought was always a bit odd, but yeah, pretty good. The reason why it feels better is that I think it's just because it does a couple extra points of damage over the other assault rifles. Yeah, I think the hit registration or something in this game must be like real janky, because a lot of the times it'll feel like every 1 in like 3 shots you hit on somebody doesn't actually hit, which is very annoying. Yeah, it's weird because playing in the open beta, it really feels like you want to run around constantly, even though it's not really what you're supposed to do. Which I guess makes playing the game feel a bit frustrating, because you're just running around and dying constantly. It does feel better on certain game modes though. The game modes where the whole map is open and you can attack all the points at once, I generally think aren't that fun to play. I much prefer the Conquest. Conquest is the game mode which I'm not really a fan of, especially on that, I've forgotten what the map's called, but it's the map with all the snow. It's just pretty foul, in my opinion. But Rush and Breakthrough, I think, are much better game modes. Yeah, it just feels more like Battlefield in my opinion than, yeah, because it's weird. You would think that having all these points with such a large map would feel like Battlefield, but weirdly enough, it kind of feels like you're playing Call of Duty for some reason. With my computer, I'm getting decent frames in the game. It hovers around 90, which, after doing some research, is pretty solid for the specs I have. But it is dipped down sometimes, and there are stutters sometimes, which is rather annoying. And you can definitely feel it. But other than that, it's pretty smooth. I think in this gameplay here, I was playing at the max FOV, and I ended up turning it back down because I felt like slowing the game down felt better. But yeah, it's definitely something you can mess around with to see what you prefer. And the open beta shotguns are like ridiculous. Like, I don't know how many times I've played the game where I'll shoot somebody. I'll put like 10 bullets into them with a rifle. Like 3 of them will hit them, and then they just like 360 no-scope me with a shotgun, and it's like, what is going on? Like, it's just honestly ridiculous. But yeah, I don't know how they're really going to balance that, but it's, yeah, I don't know, it's just very inconsistent. So for the classes, it feels interesting because with the medic class, obviously you have the defibrillator, but you also have an ammo bag, so it kind of feels like they put 2 classes together, and of course the specialist weapon is the LMG. So it feels a bit weird with all 3 of those pieces together. Like, it's just a very odd decision to have an LMG, but to also be a combat medic, and to have the ammo bags for the team. And it just feels like maybe the ammo bag should be moved to a different class, or maybe have the assault class have its own specialized thing, like maybe the ammo bag. Yeah, the assault class feels pretty solid. I mean, having 2 primary weapons is pretty useful. Through this gameplay, I've used the shotgun and an AR, and it's pretty nice. You can use the AR for longer distance, and when you're closer in a building, you can swap to your shotgun and obviously one-hit somebody. So pretty useful there, but it does feel a bit weird because you don't have like a specialized tool, like the defibrillators with the medic class, or the repair tool with the engineer class. Yeah, it's just, Yeah, with the assault class, I don't remember what they're called, but the incendiary grenades, the grenade launcher it's honestly just annoying to play against. The fact that it forces you into hip fire only and it slows your movement. It's just really, this is really annoying, and it actually can do quite a bit of damage as well. I remember this one time when I spawned in. I spawned in immediately, and immediately someone fired a grenade onto me, and I was basically dead like 2 seconds in. Pretty ridiculous, but yeah, just really annoying to play into that. Vehicles in this game are pretty interesting because on one hand, it is cool how you could get in something like a car and just drive around the map pretty fast, move around and get into good vantage points, but the infantry fighting vehicles, I think, are just ridiculously overpowered, and it's just quite annoying because it feels like if you're not an engineer, it's just nothing you can do. But also it's weird because they only show up sometimes, obviously, so just it feels quite inconsistent. It feels like they're not there and then they're there and suddenly they take control of the game. Or whenever someone on my team is using an infantry vehicle, suddenly everyone on their team is an engineer and has RPG. It just feels like a lot. But yeah, definitely I would say defending a point or attacking a single point is much more fun than having the open maps, in my opinion. It just kind of forces teams to play together and actually work together, rather than just running and gunning. So it's actually somewhat enjoyable, yeah. Yeah, actually, so there was a queue to play the game when I logged in, which I thought was pretty ridiculous. It was, how much was, I think it was like 18,000 or 1,800 people in the queue. So it was pretty ridiculous how they have they have so many people wanting to play the game that there is a queue, which I thought was pretty crazy that people are this hyped to play the game. But I guess that's a good sign for the game and for the future of Battlefield. The UI is just awful. I don't know who designed it, but it feels like they've gone somehow backwards. Looking at the UI of, like, I want to say Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 5, I feel like that was very sleek, very clean. You know what was going on. And then you look at this, you look at 2042, it's just like garbage. Like, especially looking in the menu and looking at all the options, it's just blah. This whole thing is just garbage. They really need to get there. They really need to get it together there, over at EA, because it's just, what is going on? It reminds me of the UI on some of the newer CODs. It's just awful. Like, you would expect more from a AAA game released in 2025, but it's like somehow we're regressing and we're going backwards, which is really annoying. The other thing was that the first time launching the game was pretty good. Worked out of the box fine, but when I tried to launch the game for the second time, I had to. It actually gave me an error, and it said I needed secure boot enabled in TPM, which is like a hardware thing. And it was funny because I saw it and I was like, wait, I remember seeing these options when I was setting up my PC for the first time, and then like in the BIOS. And the crazy thing was, I thought I had it already enabled, and so I went into my BIOS and I looked at the settings, and it said it was secure boot was enabled. So I was pretty confused as to why that wasn't working. That it wasn't actually enabled in Windows, even though I had it enabled in the BIOS. So I basically had to override it, and it was real weird. If you got to go through all those steps just to play the game, then I think you're going to lose a lot of players, because a lot of players are going to be quite casual. They're not going to want to be players that are going to have to go into their settings and change files and enable this, enable that, go into console commands, not console commands, opening CMD and whatnot to check things. It's just a bit much for the average gamer, I think. So I think they need to find a better way of figuring this out. Other than that, it's been a pretty solid experience, apart from that major hiccup and I guess the frames dropping every now and then. Solid game. I don't know if it's really worth a full $60-70 USD price tag for this game. I do feel like you can just keep playing previous Battlefields or play Call of Duty or play anything else that's out there.